Hey up, how do, and welcome to our final chat of today's features here on Loose Lip. This is series 2, and this is the second feature. So if you're new to this, I'm Ben Random. Hello, how do indeed. If you want to see all 47 chats from our previous series, go onto YouTube and put in Pop Cult Chic, or likewise on Instagram, put in pop.cult.chic and you can find everything on there. Loose Lips was created during the lockdown. It was to look to reach out and connect and speak with people from various different walks of life across the globe, to look to get to know their story, engage with them, and lift people who are in this current situation, just help them forget what we're currently in, and just see the optimism in life as well. So that is what Loose Lips is designed to be about. So all the chats on there you can find. Today's chats have been super cool. So we caught with Carla Bateman, who is a business lady in the sense that she owns her own business, Carmina Entertainment, and provides dancers, entertainments for various venues across the actual clubbing scene, event scene. And then that was followed by Dale Castell, who's been doing loads of live streams at the moment, and the numbers have been huge, like into the high ends of the thousands. And not only that, raising money for good charitable causes as well. And then the chat just then was with James Brander, who is an unbelievable musician, a real unsung, undug treasure, shall we say, undug treasure. And his band Wildest UK, they're going to be releasing new material come the end of this month, end of May. So definitely check out Wildest. They're worth having an eye out for. We're going to be speaking with Neil now. He's just sent the request, so let's get this chat rolling. What? Let technology do its thing. Yes, brother, how you doing?
How close I am. Yeah, I'm all right.
Good to see you. Right, let me just do this. I'm here to post and pin. This could be the smoothest way that I've ever done it, so we'll see. Yes.
I have no idea what that is.
So basically, in the chat before, I tried to pin the comment, and it didn't pin, and it turned my camera around and showed all my dirty dishes.
Yeah.
So I had to log off to come back on because I didn't want to put my dirty dishes out. And then that's when you logged on and saw me just laughing, going, "What's going on, man? What's going on?" So I think I figured a cool way of doing it. So I'm happy about that. But anyway, how are you, man?
I'm all right. Yeah, I have no complaints. Just noticed that there's something on the mirror there, but other than that, no, I'm good. You?
Yeah, you know what? It's obviously it's a crazy time, but like so I'll put this to you. Is it pause or is it reset? Because I'm looking at it like it's reset. And because it's reset, it's like red or blue pill. It's like both rabbit holes are still there. But if you're able to advance and adapt in this time, I think it'll pay dividends. So that's the angle that I'm going for. Even though the other side's still there, and I'm not flipping or dismissing of it, but I'm still looking at the optimistic side of it. So how are you with it?
I don't know, actually. Probably reset, I think. Probably reset. Yeah, it's been a bit of an eye opener. You never really have that much time to think, which is not always a great thing, because you don't always, when people say think, sometimes you presume that's a positive thing. So he's been doing loads of thinking. Must be ready. But I don't know. I've had all different thoughts. I've been a librarian, and I've been a soldier in the last kind of 2 months, So I'll be a photographer when we're back out. But yeah, I think maybe I'm leaning more towards reset. I was paused for a bit, but I think the longer it goes on and the wiser we get about it, I think it'll be more like a reset. Yeah, let's just say reset.
I respect that, because I think there's no rule book for this, and this is huge. And I think this will be in history books in generations to come. And my sort of breaking point was it sort of hit, and the bars were sort of going to be, "Oh, you bros just come through, yep, big up, Mark, yep."
I didn't know, I I didn't know. You know, I said I was worried about going out. I don't really. I'm not very good at talking, but I can see all them lot coming through, and now I didn't know they'd know I were here. So there you go.
Classic. Yeah, if anyone's got any comments as well, man, just put them through. Any questions, I'll put them and look to implement any conversation. But yeah, I was just saying, like, at the very start of it, it fully threw me in a way where I had 18 hours off from the world. I was like,
Right.
this is, you know, what? Like, proper Macaulay Culkin, like, like, one of those moments. And then, I don't know, I woke up and I thought, like, there's something impenetrable that is the human spirit. And I just felt there was something bigger than me that was saying, nah, man, we've all got this. We'll come through this. And I felt summoned to, like, raise those spirits. I believe I'm here to spark a soul of a generation. And that's what I wanted to do. I was like, right, what am I going to do? How am I going to... And it was about me in a sense of helping me, but it was almost like an outward, how do I help everyone else, which is how I get my, like, strength anyway. Because I've had that as, like, my base camp, but then I've checked in with other people who've been, you know, up and down and varying, and there's no right or wrong to this. I think that's one of the saddest things about it, is when people are online, say Facebook, and you've got your so-called tinfoil conspiracies going against your so-called clued up science bit, you know, and it's like, we all want the best output, which is people to be safe and for us to proceed with life. And, you know, I don't like that bickering, so I get it, man. Like, if people are a bit down and that, I'm there for them, and if people are up and cracking on, I'm there.
That's a very nice way to be.
I love that as well, though. I mean, you were telling me that you were smashing up your ceiling. So, and obviously, any rage as well, you're able to get out there. So, have you started been on books for a while, and it's like this time you've like, right, I've got to do it.
Yeah, well, no, it's bad. I would say it's badly timed, but yeah, since January we've been doing a house up. I moved out of London in May last year. Couldn't find anywhere, so I had to live with my mum for the last 7-8 months, and then we found this place, but it needed everything doing to it. So yeah, that's what I cracked on. When I was speaking to you, I was probably somewhat illegally there, as I travelled from where I've been staying for the last 8 weeks down just for 2 days, because we had some tradesmen come in and whatnot. I needed to make sure that they knew what was going on, because I've been obviously been quite a distant boss. Well, not even a boss, really. They're the bosses. I just go, please, can I have a light switch here and a wall removed there or whatever. So yeah, that's where I was when we were speaking, yeah.
That must be mad, having to facilitate that through this time.
Yeah, kind of. I think with how I work anyway, we do so much you do via email and not that much through face-to-face communication, and until I actually shoot, you might not have met anyone. You've just done it all. You know, Zoom wasn't really that popular for me, but you would have done it all via email or maybe a phone call. So it doesn't seem that weird. And especially, I think what's been good for me is I can get involved too much. So I've had to let people just crack on, and they've made decisions on my behalf which have benefited me, which I would never have said, can we just do this or do that? Because I didn't want the ball ache of it all. So it's actually been quite good, I think.
On the back of that then, you did my segue. I like that. You mentioned then when you're approaching clients, is it cold calling, or was it at the start? Was it a lot of cold calling in the sense of you approaching them? Like how were you reaching out to people to be projects?
I think for me it wasn't like that actually. I would hate the idea of sending an email and someone saying, yeah, we don't like that. So I never did that. I just basically waited. I shot some stuff. If people saw it, that was great. And I kind of built up slowly until a lot of things just seemed to align. I've always said it. I'm I'm the most luckiest person, because I don't sit there and email. I'm not that good at that. And I'm fortunate enough to have an agent, and they do a lot of that. So they take a lot of pressure off that for you. But yeah, no, I never was any good at that. I'm not good at marketing. I don't know any of that stuff. Like, terrible. Just try, it's all done from the bed. I sit in bed and think that's a good idea. We'll do that. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, but when you put it seems easy on Instagram. It's you throw stuff out and go, "This is some work. Do you like it?" And if no one replies to your story, which I'm not saying doesn't happen, it's not that bad. But when you email someone directly and said, "This is my work. Can I get your opinion?" and or would you fancy working together? And if they would come back and say no, yeah, it wound me, I think.
It's
So,
true,
yeah.
you know, I've never seen it like that. So during the course of Loose Lips, I've spoken with people from various like professions, and a lot of the acting trades say that they'll go for auditions and the water back, and you've got to like build a thick skin to it. Whereas
Yeah.
like when you look at something like an email, like I'm a proper geek emailer. I put so much like of myself in that message, you know, I to proper craft it. Do you know what I mean? I see some people just like use a template, and I'm like I even save my message, like copy and like save it before I send it, just in case it goes. Like it's a proper sculptor. So then when you don't get up, you're a bit like, oh, like so. I hear you. It can sometimes
just
throw you
hurtful.
off.
It can feel hurtful, especially when you love what you do, and if someone didn't
Get it?
Feel the same way about it. For me, I'm just not very good at that. I'm not very good at, I don't know, people not being on side. That sounds like I'm really selfish, I guess, but it's not.
No, but when it comes to your art, especially as an artist, you've got to protect your creative
some sort of
zen
integrity or whatever it is. Yeah.
I
mean,
so
I never came out to be a business. You know, I just didn't know any of that stuff. Studied at college, left, went down to London, studied there and left, and then I was like, well, I guess I better be a photographer. The first thing I did when I graduated was I applied for a job at Maharishi because I didn't know what I was meant to do. I was like, I don't know, I'm not even a good photographer, so I don't want to tell anyone. I knew I wasn't, so I don't want to go out and say to someone, pay me to do that. I didn't have that confidence. I don't think I ever will. You know you're good at your job, but I'd never put it onto you like, hey, I'm great. So yeah, I don't know where I was, but that's how I feel.
No, so
with whatever I was saying.
No, was that your first profession then after uni? Working for? Did you get that job at Maharishi?
No, I never got it. I didn't get it. Instead, I think I got a job for FHM photographing Ugg boots. In fact, I know I did. So that weren't too bad. And then I applied. I felt a little bit lost straight away. After about a month, I'd been at college and uni my entire life.
Which colleges in uni?
Say again.
Which college and which uni?
I went to Bradford College and I went to London College of Fashion. I think I was 27 by the time I came out or graduated. So suddenly there was going to be no financial help from family or whatever. And it's the first time you feel on your own. And the only way I thought of making money would be, like say, apply for a retail job. Because that seems, you know, my brother had done that. And that just seemed like, oh, that's an obvious way to go. I'm not good enough to be a photographer or whatever. And then after a month, I was sort of like, it hit me that I wasn't going to be in that educational system anymore. And I do actually quite like it. So I applied to go back on a scholarship to study an MA, which I didn't get into. So I wrote back to college and said, I don't really accept that decision. Like, I think I should be given the scholarship because this, and give them reasons why as to, you know, how well I'd done or whatever through the course. And then I got a call, went in, they said, it's too late now, but we can give you it next year. So then I had a year to just basically, it was quite a good year because I got to do nothing whilst building up a bit of a photography kind of portfolio and career. And then I went back. And when you study at MA and you know more about the subject, so when you're doing a BA, you're sort of being taught and everything's being pushed onto you, whereas when you go and do an MA, you're pushing back and you can say, actually, you're not right. Or, you know, I felt a little bit more confident. So it allowed me to develop what I would think I'd have developed into easier because I had knowledge. I wasn't afraid of like, oh, I don't think that's right. You know, you sort of like, actually, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. Just get on with it.
I think that's the thing is nothing's right, nothing's wrong. It's what you make of it. It's the eye. That's the whole conversation of somebody capturing that moment. It's like especially some of the photos that some of the photos that you see, it's down to interpretation what people get. It's crazy, and I sort of want to. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just agreeing completely. No, when there's times you're photographing maybe commercially, and it might be slightly out of focus when you hadn't meant it to be, but you can sort of stand there and say, nah, that's the feeling. If it's too sharp, it's going to take away that tiny bit of movement, that tiny, you know, deep inside you might be like, shit, I don't know if that's right. Because you're focusing so much all the time, or I am, on sharpness, on quality of light, on make sure that you've gone with the right depth of field for that particular picture, that when you know it's not right, I don't like being that bullshitter. I really don't like that. I'd rather shoot it again, but there is times where it's like, well, if I say it's supposed to be very slightly blurred or very slightly out of focus, they've got to believe me because I've said it.
And it goes with the moment.
It goes with the moment. Yeah, half the time you're just not ready and you press the button.
So when you were at uni, like in that time, did they help you with the business side? You know, was there still, because it's a master's, are they now looking at the stepping stone of how you make it into a fully fledged career?
That was my feedback back to them years later, was that there was no preparation for what world you're going into. And at London College of Fashion, there's probably kind of courses where people will go into an obvious job if they study fashion marketing, PR, or whatever that kind of stuff is. They can go into that world. Whereas if you're doing photography, you can now, it's probably easier now to go into a job than it ever was, because you've got ecom popping up, you've got loads of people wanting Instagram bits and bats. You know, we didn't have that.
Or stock footage as well.
Or even that. I mean, we had stock footage. I took a photograph of a cream egg. I remember doing that and putting it on the stock website. And not, you know, I just had no idea. I had no idea. I thought, well, I can do that and joining the dots. You know, it's such a bad idea. But no, the business advice, I would say, is the bit that was lacking. I feel like that should have been, you could do that for a year and still be like, I don't really understand. Especially now, those people who are graduating need to understand even more the importance of websites and Instagrams and mailing lists and the correct kind of etiquette in emailing that person you might want to speak to. And then, do you set up as a business? If so, how is it going to be limited? Is it going to be sole trader? Are you going to be VAT registered? All that. It's like, I just had to find out by speaking to people, which a lot of the world is advice and things passed down to you. But I mean, getting some sort of help. I mean, again, though, you are 20 odd years old, so you can and probably should be advised to actively pursue that. They can't give you everything, but it was one of the things I fed back on, that it was great in terms of sort of learning how to take a photograph, but to be a business, it was not really good enough, to be honest.
Is there ever been at your early stages then, when you were taking photos and you might not have been able to trademark them as such, so you know, you always have that fear where your photo could pop up anytime someone's just almost like hijacking it and you're not getting the recognition or the revenue for it?
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. That's going to, people, you know, just take Kobe, for instance, who obviously passed away at the start of the year. That photograph that I was lucky enough to have taken, it's gone around, you know, it was used wide from, I don't know, Ronaldo, Beckham, and Hathaway. They were just three I can remember that were using. But you don't kind of get mentioned. So it's kind of like you can't really stop that. Once you put your work online, it can get diluted through so many channels that there's just no way of knowing. Even if you were to, I mean, you can put it in the metadata, but even if you were to save the name, you know, Neil Bedford, whatever, someone can drag and drop that, change. So it's happening. Yeah, you can't.
It's crazy because, like, I expect if you were to put a watermark on it, that'd probably put people off using it, which then works.
It just looks really shit.
Yeah,
like the shit yeah, that's just you know.
No, you're right.
Photographers do, and that's great. But the photographers who I look at would never have done that, you know. So I guess I would never have done that. Yeah.
Do you think then that there's a conversation to be had where we need to build some form of online autonomy or etiquette where people are putting whose work it is? Because I see other things, like when I reshare, it always comes from the source of where it's reshared, or if I've got the source of reshared it and they've done it, you know, there could be like 4 or 5 different tags on there, but I think it's important to give that acknowledgement, especially when, you know, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but there's a few big people who just rip content, and I thought it was their content, and then I've seen them in an interview say, oh no, I just shared it. Whereas like Joe Rogan, for example, he puts the sources and someone on his platform. Now,
Yeah.
you know, the other people are going to get that spill because it's been shown by him, and that's all it needs.
I think it's just basic. I think it's basic etiquette, really. Kevin Cummins, one of my favourite photographers, he's always pulling people up on Twitter because he's got so many Joy Division pictures which are often shared. He'll always go, yeah, my photograph. You know, kind of little dig. But I mean, without being a genius, I just wouldn't know how that had happened. I put mine out knowing that people may or may not take it. You know, probably, yeah. I think it's something that I would have no idea about stopping or, yeah.
Does it work in a benefit in the other way where, for example, if you were ever out talking or, you know, and the conversation, let's take Kobe, for example, comes up and they might mention the photo and it's like, oh, that's my photo. Does it ever work in that respect as well?
Not to me. I'm not big enough. I'll tell you when it does, though. I'll come back to you on that.
But you've snapped some of the biggest people going.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
So how do you go through your process of approaching them then?
Often you're approached. You know, you would be approached by a magazine, a client, a brand, whoever it would be, and then you take it from there. So you can be, you know, without wanting to sound like blow my own trumpet, you get emails regularly, not for the last 2 months because it's been dead, but you would get emails saying, oh, we're looking to shoot this person. And right at the start of a career, sort of anyone famous would be a real bonus. You know, you're like, oh, wow. You know, I remember photographing, no disrespect to these people at all, but people like Plastician or Plan B, which to me at that time they were quite big and I was absolutely buzzing to be like, oh my God, doing it. But now what you can do is you can sort of say, yeah, I don't actually want to photograph them for many reasons. One, you might not agree with things that they've said or do. You might just not find them interesting to look at because you ultimately, when you're photographing anybody, you want to look at them and you want to look at them through the lens, and then you want to look at them when they're on paper or screen. So you kind of start making calls as to who you will and won't photograph. Yeah.
Do you remember when you was first starting out, and I'm sure it were a different way of approaching, like, was there a particular switch? Was there a particular photo or portrait or someone that stands out when it went from you approaching to then people recognizing your work?
I mean, for me, yeah, whether or not people recognize my stuff, I don't know. But for me, it was I was approached by Kinfolk, which is an American magazine, to do a series all on ladies with grey hair. And at first, I said, I don't really get that. Like I just mess around. Like, what's he got? I don't understand why. But I looked into the magazine. It had a big following, so I was like, well, I'll do it, and then I'll work it out afterwards. And I just really spent some time on that with how I decided I was going to shoot it. And it's quite simple, but that taught me that that's fine. You don't have to reinvent lighting every time, pose every time, or tone. If you do it well and you do it simple, then suddenly you start to have a bit of a recipe because your simple might not be someone else's simple. So, you know, you get your point where it's like, there, I'm comfortable, this is good for me. And I remember just looking at those photographs, just thinking, if I saw them from someone else, I would still want to look at them. And that was the first time, because I think as an artist, you would never look at stuff and go, yes, that I can't do that. I can't look and always just think, well, that's better than anybody else's. I'd do it the opposite way and say, well, theirs is better. For the next time, how do I get mine to their level? But that was the first time I really sort of looked and went, yeah, all right, I'm in. I think I'm ready. And then, yeah, from there, really, you start to understand you can't go backwards. You see, when you hit a level that you feel is yours, the next time you shoot, you obviously can't drop below that. And that's the hard point. So that's when you start saying yes and no to certain things, because some of them might put you in areas where you can't get out of it what you want to show. And it can put your kind of artistic license or vision or whatever it is you want to say. You might, you know, here's a lad with a dog on a swing, can you photograph it? Well, no, because I can't do that. I can't. So you have to say no. Yeah, no, but it's so and so from I don't know, normal people. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to make it look good, so I've got to say no. So yeah, that's how I find it.
Did you fall into that trap at any point, and was that
Yeah,
experience speaking then from learning that?
I mean, at the start, there's work just about disappeared from Google now, where you would see and be like, shit, that was, someone said there's 250, and you've said, all right, man, I need that. And that's fine, because I think the first, there's some very gifted people, especially who I went to university with, that left, and you just knew they were going to be, you know, incredible. Like I say, when I left, that wasn't me. So I probably spent that first year out learning. You know, that was me still really being at uni. Then I went back and did the MA, and I started getting commissions through that. And you're still learning until you hit that one point where you're like, yeah, all right, I've got everything I need. Now it's just up to me to put it out there
And develop your own style through that. Almost once you've got all the skills, like you're almost at the
yeah.
level of the masters, but you still need to find your own style to become a
Right, that's it.
master.
Which is hard, you know. It can take. I still think I'm still figuring mine out, but it's a long process, which I'm fine with. I've never wanted to adhere to any trends or become like a fad or, oh, have you seen this? He photographs in this style, and then 2 years later, no one's photographing like that. I've kind of stuck to what I've wanted to do for quite a long time now, and I've just got to hope that that'll be fine for me. You know, I'm not certainly not picking up the camera for anything other than I want to take a good picture. I don't really think about money. It's never been a drive. I've never wanted too much really. So yeah, there you go.
Do you think that that's helped in a sense of being able to say no to certain jobs at that
Yeah, for
earlier
sure.
trajectory? Because it could have been that if you're photographing musicians, you're a music photographer. If you're capturing sports stars, you're a sports, and
Right.
especially 10, 15 years ago, however long, like especially a decade ago, there was still paper dominant magazines that were going out that were still popular. So do you think that's helped in that way, that you can be so transferable across so many different platforms?
It definitely has for me. Like, my thing isn't one thing, like fashion, portrait, sport, music. All I ever want and have wanted to do was create an image that I want to see again. You know, like I said before, that's my, so that can be widespread. But as long as I can look at it and think, well, that's beautiful, then I'm happy.
I feel that. I feel that
Yeah.
because do you find you your harshest critic, but your biggest fan as well?
I'm not my harshest critic, yeah, in anything. Definitely not my biggest fan, which goes back to confidence. You know, like I said at the start, I think if I could develop that, but then I wouldn't be me. And I always think if you break down any job, people want to work with people they like. So you can't. Not everyone's going to like you. They might like your work, and you hear a lot of times, "Oh, yeah, we shot with him, and he was horrible." So like, yeah, I can't be that guy. I just want to make the image the best, and then I'll say it's shit afterwards. But there it
I've
goes.
I've got a question that leads on after that, but I sort of want to close off the earlier, like how you got into it and stuff now, and then I'll move to that if that's cool. So I seen a message come through from Benjamin Eagle, who's also a photographer, and
Yeah.
he used to live up around. Well, I think he was visiting Leeds one time, and he actually took me on a photo shoot, shot some real cool ones. Actually, you'll know Leeds, won't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know where iPark Picture House is?
No.
No. Anyway, just on that corner there, around there, I park in the ends anyway, and it's a proper cool shop. But I wonder, when you were first coming through, how did you get into it, and how did you get your mates to be like your projects?
All right, let's think. So why I at college studied fashion design and textile. Um, I then applied to London College of Fashion to study fashion styling and photography, to go and be a stylist, weirdly enough, which is, you know, everyone would have been walking around like big children if but I went and did that. I think I did that course for 2 years and in the first week, one of the tutors said, you can't be taught styling. You can either dress someone so there's nothing we can teach you, but we can guide you. And I was like, hang on a minute, my dad's paying for this. Like, what do you mean you can't teach me? I'd got old enough at one point in my life, I would have probably come on and gone, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. That's fine for me. But I wanted to learn. That's why I'd gone back to uni. I was 20. He can get lost. I was 22. And after that 2 years, I switched courses onto a photography course. And then I can't really think how I started. Obviously at uni, you don't have models. You do have friends. I remember photographing all the lads who were queuing up outside the Beard and Ape store because that was what I was really into.
Well, I'm going to say, let's give some props to your brother as well, Mark, because
Yeah.
you know, he was around at the hip store at that time when it were in Victoria Quarter, and there must have been some cool bits because he was the one who was sorting me a lot of my threads at that time. So no, there must have been like that, like you say, that Beard and Ape era. It was such a cool era of fashion.
Yeah, definitely. Still think it's great, but so I was picking up those lads. I shot my brother a couple of times. You don't really, I don't know. I look now and I look on Instagram and you see these younger photographers or younger generation photographers and you think, wow, it's so easy for you. You've got everything. Your pictures look amazing. You've got you've got all the means. You can go straight out and find a good looking guy, a good looking girl, a musician, say you're a photographer. You've got filters, which a lot of them use. But yeah, I just borrowed people, like, oh, you look all right. Or, being beautiful wasn't ever a thing to me. Like the style was always a thing. So I'd try and find, lads who were outside those shops who look cool and just say, oh, mate, do you mind? And then, go from there.
What's your theory with filters? Because I think filters online are crazy. I really think it's turning people into a bit more of like, missing the imperfections which make the best, like your scar tells a story.
100%. I mean, filters can be different because when I'm photographing, I'm still applying a filter. It's just that I've probably built that filter and we call it a grade so that we sound more intelligent than someone who's taken a digital photograph and put a filter on. So I use them because I use them to get the colors that you want throughout that. So I don't think that's fine. I think that's fine, sorry, but on retouching, I don't, which is where you would take imperfections off. I don't do that massively. I more take things away from the background, so I'll cheat every so often what's in the photograph. But like as in terms of making someone look better than they should, I've never really been down that route because I don't understand it really. Just take things away that.
Sorry, go on.
You might remove stuff like you shoot someone in eyelashes. This is more like fashion stuff, really, or portraiture, because you take a portrait and you want to look at it for a long time. You don't want to leave the eyelash. That's that little bit too long, but you couldn't have gone up to that person and said, that one lash is a bit long. Can we sort it out? You can just, get rid of it afterwards. So I'm not opposed to that massively, but skin and making that look less natural, that's not really me.
I've got a bit of the facts for you. So the saying, warts and all, comes from Oliver Cromwell when, as the Puritan leader, they were meant to go paint his oil canvas of him, and they went, oh, Mr. Cromwell, would you like us to remove any, embellishes he's got because he's really warty? And he went, no, keep them in, warts and all.
All right,
got that from Horrible Histories, mate, one of the greatest shows ever.
Love Horrible Histories, love it. There's a film as well, I think.
Yeah, but it didn't have any of the main original cast in it.
No, it was like quite a Hollywood film.
Yeah,
I liked it. I don't know if I've watched enough of the TV series, but I definitely like the film.
Fair, I'll give the film a go. But the show were class. I felt like they should have had their like triumph into the sunset, like in the film. But the reason I bring that up is because I do think there's something said about like the imperfections being in there. So to tie in 2 points you've mentioned earlier, like as much as it's your work, it's also about you being like sound and getting on with people. Is there ever a moment when you're meeting people and they're rather nervous and they approach you and say, please, can you embellish that or take that away? Or do you have that? Is there any
every so often, you do. Because what we do now is you photograph back to a screen more often than not. So it's visible for everybody straight away from when the photograph's taken. And some people, they will, of course, say, I don't like that. Or, certain people I've photographed who said, you can only photograph me from the left. which is that, you know, and then you're like, I can't do that. It's hard. It's really hard because you know, the magazine have requested however many pictures, 7, and you're saying they're all from the left. It makes me look bad, but it's happened. So yeah, people are aware. I think people are very much aware of their perception of what beautiful is, and it's changed so much with Instagram and online influencers and all those kind of American girls, Kardashians, like all that, like their idea of that. It's just bonkers, you know. Yeah, I can't get on board with that.
But in any sort of popular trend, you'll always get like that revolt against it, won't you? You'll always get like that more grittier side of it, and I do think we're coming into that. I think there's a proper street revolution.
I can feel that, yeah.
It does,
especially online, you know, especially Instagram. I mean, it's huge, isn't it? One thing I've been doing during lockdown is trying to read up as much as I can on things like that, because I just thought it was. I think I still do. I think it's just an app where I put my work. It's my website. That's how I run that. But if you start going into the back end, like the settings tab, there's so much you can do. And I was like, there's businesses, this, all this stuff set up. And I was like, I don't know anything about that. So, you know, I've used it to kind of go in there, and you can sort of see how people have built quite big businesses off the back of that app, but all they struggle with its integrity, because it doesn't have, it's not like advertising where that's, I can't think of the right word, but it's monitored, if you like. Instagram's not. You can put anything. I can tell you now that this cup of tea is the best cup of tea, and it's by Taifu. And Taifu have given me 10 grand to say that because I've got 1 million followers. But I don't believe that, and it's also not true. So that's, you know, I struggle with that. I don't know where I've come from to get there. But,
no, I hear you. I think that Instagram, it offers a platform that anyone can put. The reason I love Instagram is because it's like seeing the world through sunglasses. So it can take away anything that you don't really want to see. So your example there, it can make everything sound the greatest it is. But sometimes people want to go, well, if that's the best cup of tea, what are the 4 most naffest cup of teas out there? I'm going to drink those. And I think there's that almost like anti-Instagram establishment that's coming through. And it's weird to say, because obviously, like with these chats, I'm looking to grow the platform and spread it out. And I've been looking into, like, you know, you say you've been doing a lot of reading. I honestly think I could pass a course in YouTube at the minute. The amount of tutorials and things that have just melted me head, like, but it's another a way of adapting.
Well, YouTube's, I thought, I must admit, I think I'm just too naive for the modern world, because I had no idea YouTube was so big. But apparently it's one of the biggest social media platforms. I was like, what? Who even goes on YouTube? It's just like videos of like builders getting shit wrong. But it's not, it's like way bigger than that. So I was like, oh, cool.
No, YouTube, in years' time, YouTube will be viewed as the reason why there's no terrestrial TV, or why the numbers have dwindled. Like, YouTube is that huge, like, because what it offers us and what Instagram offers us is the luxury to watch anything when we want. And now the power of streaming as well, like we have the power at our own hands. So it's cool for that. And Instagram's cool for that. And it's trying to move into the visual world.
It's definitely great. You know, it's great. It can connect people the way Facebook could, I guess. Yeah, it can do that. It just looks prettier, that's all.
No, it does. And do you know what, again? Like, so me and some mates run about this, right? I think, like, if Instagram were a political party, it'd be like Labour. You know, it's got a bit of optimism about it. Like, Facebook could beat Tories. And then my mate went, he proper like tried to kick off at me, like, Facebook won't be Tories. And then we got into it, was like, yeah, there would be Tories actually. And he went out of room.
Twitter would be Tories, wouldn't it?
No. So he went out of room, and I thought he was kicking off because I was just like being daft with this like analogy. But he thought the same. So he come back in and went, well, if Facebook's Tories, what's Twitter? And I was like, BNP, mate. Definitely is. And then he was like, all right, I concede, fair play. Fair play.
I think I actually prefer Twitter to any of them.
No way.
Yeah, I do. I love reading on there. I don't want to see pictures. That's it. I don't want to see pictures every day, because obviously that's my world. So I only want to see good pictures, and you can get it can do a lot of bad, can Instagram, depending on how you wake up and the mood you view it in. If you're in a happy mood, everything looks great. if you're not in a great place and you look at it, everything looks even better. So it's like, shit, I shouldn't have gone on there. Whereas with Twitter, I think you can just consume a lot of information quickly. You get the news quick. You get, I follow some great photographers on there who I don't follow on Instagram because I want to see what they say rather than
you want to find a bit more about them as the people.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I do. I genuinely like that platform.
All right, I take back the BNP. It can be like, which political party would you align it to then?
I think the Tories, because like I said, I read it all as like false advertising.
Yeah.
I guess it goes against what I'm just saying, but yeah. Or so when I don't know, because it's a one-way conversation, Twitter, isn't it? You just basically shout down and hope someone replies. You just go on there and shout your opinion. Someone replies, great. If they don't, I'm going to keep shouting it. So there you go.
Well, this is it. I think it brings you to a world where people want to be heard rather than be right. And I think that's a scary place to be, because then in your head, you're always right. But surely the beauty of a good debate is bringing what you've got to the table and appreciating somebody else's opinion, but both going away shaking hands, knowing that you either learned something new or you've changed someone if it was an ignorant view. But as soon as people like stick the claws in the talons and are like, no. And that's what I get with Twitter. Like nah. But anyway. But so when you're meeting with clients for the first time, like, is it literally on site or is there a coffee before? Do you find like you want to like have a bit of a chill with him, so then you get a vibe and then you absorb that into while you capture him?
Obviously that depends on what it is you're shooting. If you're doing portraiture, you probably haven't met them before, depending on who that is. If you're shooting something for a brand, you would have gone through around a month's worth of communication, from an initial deck to a secondary deck to your ideas, how you're going to do it, your treatment. So
sorry, just to cut you, is that back and forth through email, or I imagine it being quite visual? So are you
no, email usually? You do. The first time you'd normally meet with someone would be through PPM, pre-production meeting, where you would all get round and it'd be like, oh, great to finally meet you, but you've been speaking on the phone, or I can't remember what. I was going to say Zoom, but it definitely wasn't Zoom. But in that 2 months, I can't remember the program you would have logged on to look at someone else. But you had conference calls and whatever. So you physically spoken to them, but the first time you might actually meet them can be on set a lot of times, or it can be in that meeting. But it's not like you have weeks together or anything. You sort of brought in, do your bit, and then you might never see them again. It's sad in some cases.
What's it like when you've got to make them feel comfortable, but you've got to almost like manage their posture and their positioning? Like I'm guessing that a lot of them will be accustomed to that way of life of being in front of the camera, but you've still got a particular style, I'm sure. So how do you engage that?
I just chat, if I'm honest. I get told to hurry up sometimes. You ain't got long. It's like, I know, but I need to understand. I need to talk to open someone up. You just have to get to know them as quickly as you can. And I haven't got any special tricks or anything. I would just be like, you can start small, or you might have heard something. What I usually do is a lot of research prior, so at least I can say, if it's a musician, you can talk about a song, and then you'll find a lyric that you genuinely can believe in, and that means something to you, so you can't get caught out of just going, that lyric you wrote was good, wasn't it? I don't know what it means, but it was good. You try and give them a bit more than that. And if they can feel you have an interest in them, then they're going to give you something back. So, yeah. I mean, it's hard at first. Like the first times you have to do it and you feel awkward saying, oh, it doesn't look that good. So can you just move this way ever so slightly? That can be challenging when you're new. New to photography. But now it's just what I do. I describe it as being a bit like a dentist. Like, a lot of people, actually, as comfortable as they might be, they don't want the photograph taken because it shows the reality. So, the dentist, you go and you just spend 30 minutes shitting yourself. But if he's a nice dentist, he's going to reassure you enough to go, all right, and stick it and prick, whatever, put it in my mouth. Whereas you can do it like that. It's like, I know you probably don't like your photograph, but together we'll get there.
Harmony together, see, like David Brent style. It makes that's what I'm looking for. But you know, when you said you research, does your research involve looking at other photographs of them as well? Because obviously you don't want to be seen to be doing the same sort of
Yeah,
picture that they've already been captured in.
it's right. But yeah, you will often look, and then you can learn. There's two, you can learn how they've been shot. So you can say, okay, I was going to go down that route, but now I'm not. But also, it sort of shows you, you can photograph someone and they might just be stern in every photograph. You know that that's suddenly not down to photographer's direction. That person's more than likely just going to be stern, and that's his way of being photographed. Or you can find out a lot. So I do. I do look around, yeah, pictures. If they've been in films or if they're sports stars, try and look a little bit into the history. Musicians, like I say, into music videos or whatever. Just so you have a basic knowledge of who they are. Yeah.
I'm a massive believer that when people vibe and they're on that level, you see more through their eyes because they're engaged. Do you find that people that you're more particular like engaged with in the parameter of taking their photos to people where you still captured a great shot, but it might not have been there, so it's not in their eyes? Do you ever see anything like that? Is that getting too deep?
No, yeah, too deep for me. I try and hide. I would try and hide that anyway. I would try and hide that. Just that's why I work on the light. That's why the lighting and everything is so that my photograph is always going to feel like, or the idea is that it would feel like mine, whether that person loved or hated me. Because don't get me wrong, not everyone's going to like you when they get there. They might go, I don't really like how he dresses. Everyone's going to make an opinion as I don't like he wears a baseball cap. I don't like he's got a beard. They can form an opinion as soon as they come in. So it's important for me to try and, as soon as they come in, you don't ever want to be on top of them. That is not me. I like to be a little bit more casual in that and go to them when they feel comfortable. But I would always then mask if they got on with me, didn't get on with me, just through the quality of the image, really.
I saw him message earlier and I got a bit goosebumpy. Serge obviously give you a little shout there.
Yeah, hopefully he's legged it now.
Like, what's it like when you work with somebody long term like that, and then you start to come up with your own concepts together because you both know how each other work? Like were it the coloured paint, for example, and then what's that like when you've earned that relationship and trust?
It's hard with that one because that he's become a very, very close friend, and it's beautiful to work with him because sometimes he'll give you something and you remember, that's who he is. You forget because you do so much together, but his ideas, the way his mind works, the level he operates at is just so inspiring. So whenever he's like, do you want to do this? It's just beautiful. And like you say, it's been nearly a decade that we've worked together. So I sort of understand him and he trusts me, and then we go on and create magic, I hope. I mean, I all I've ever wanted to do since working with him as a full band Kasabian was make, I was obsessed with Oasis when I was growing up and looking at pictures. And I just wanted to go, well, there's someone like me to them. Although I was very much into them. You can't turn up and be that guy. So I was like, well, I'll give people like me and who saw the stuff from other bands when I was little. I just want to make sure that I'm giving them guys what they want. And that's all it ever is. Make sure that he's been not represented. That's not the right word, but when you put an image out of him, that people want to see it and take notice. And he gives you that with minimal effort because he's brilliant. Hopefully he's gone. He's better if gone anyway.
Is there any images that you can look back that you're almost trying to get of that level? Like images that stand out for me there's a Jimi Hendrix one where the crowd's behind him and he's turned almost facing the camera, but not looking at the camera, and he's got the peace sign up.
Right.
Like, yeah. Is there ever a moment where you're like, when they're at Glastonbury, for example, and it's like, I've got it.
That's a sore point. I didn't do Glastonbury.
Oh.
I missed Glastonbury because I had a decent job. I was in Brazil photographing the World Cup, but I still remember when I got the commission, and I obviously had to take it. It was 6 weeks, and then realizing it clashed with Glasgow and sitting on. I can't remember where we were. We met. I was with the band. Maybe it was Scotland, and I remember sitting on the bus and sort of having, it took me ages to say, I can't be at Glastonbury. I've got this other job. And to me, it was heartbreaking at that time, because I didn't know if I'd be asked back. I didn't know if he'd get another photographer. We'd only been together, like working together 3 years then. So I was like, well, that could be it. And I kind of hadn't made a decision for that to be it. I'd always wanted to go to the World Cup. I was offered this great job, which meant I would go to games right up to the finals. And it was like, I've got to do it. But yeah, anyway, sorry to cut in there. But yeah, that particular one, just use another example, Leeds and Reading.
Leeds and Reading. Leeds and Reading. No, but to be fair, when they had the skeleton mask or whatever.
Right, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so, you know, and I remember actually that on the visuals on the screen, they had like a countdown timer that was capturing people in the crowd at their moment. So was that something involved with you as well then?
No, nothing to do with me. That was Aitor Fruit, genius. That was all his work. So yeah, nothing to do with me. But in terms of images, yeah, I think what I would often, if I get a good image, I don't use it. And I know that'll sound daft, but you sometimes see them when you're going through and you kind of go, that needs 20 years. Like, that's brilliant, but it needs 20 years. So you choose the ones that tell the story of that gig, so they can put it all out, and you can put social media, and we can go off and do our portraits and other bits we want to do. But there's often ones where, I mean, I'll have forgotten that, but I can remember you sitting, you're like, that's it. 20 years time, that's going to tell the world everything it needs to know about that band on that stage at that time. So that is the idea, you know. You want those, and we ain't got long to, what do we need to get to 2031, and then I've done 20 years, so we'll, fingers crossed. That's when I'd like to show the majority of that work. I don't really, you know, I don't show it in terms of what I do with them day to day. I show a lot of the bigger stuff, the portraits or the press releases, or if we've done album covers, or, you know, obviously we use things on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. But the real story, I'd love to say in about 20 years, yeah.
And then the final few from me then, and again, thank you for your time, man. And proper got like stuck in. I love it, mate. I respect it. Thank you. Is right. When you're photographing people like David Beckham or Pharrell, like, let's stick with Pharrell, because from the culture of bathing ape, right, that straight away says you would have been an NERD head from early doors, you know what I mean?
Big fan, yeah, big fan.
So to then be across and then looking through a lens, like, is this like a proper pinch yourself moment?
Afterwards, because at the time you terrified, you know, I won't ham that up. But at the time, you're photographing a man that you've watched for a lot of years, you've idolized because he likes he likes the same things as you, and you're wearing the same clothes, and then suddenly he's there, and it's like, it's horrible, really. The initial like email, Pharrell, do you want to photograph him? You sit down and you do all the things. You might pace up and down, like, has this happened? Is that real? It'll probably get cancelled. So I'll say, yeah, but what happened anyway? Then when it comes to it, and you've spent 3 hours doing the most simple lighting just because you're paranoid it's going to go wrong, you sort of look through your lens and you're like, oh shit, don't fuck it up. That's all you're saying, don't fuck it up. You've done everything before. So when it's someone like that, you know how you're going to light it, you know how you're going to start. So you know you're going to get one photograph that you want, because you're going to make it quite simple, and then, you know, you see how it goes, how they're reacting. But yeah, it's you're sort of scared, and then it happens, and then afterwards you look back and go, well, that was great, and that happened. But yeah,
we've had a good question through actually from Ben O'Leal, who says, do you ask for autographs, or do you have photos with him? You know, someone like Pharrell.
Not Pharrell, no.
You didn't have a photo with him?
I have got. Oh yeah, I have got one. For the first. Shit. I've shot him a couple of times.
Oh, numerous times. me and P were boys.
The first time, yeah. The other times, no. I mean, I've got a ton of saving stuff. I still ask for them to sign stuff now, just because I'm a fan. So I'd never want to forget that I've got a set list and they're going to sign it. That's still exciting. I don't care if I, you know, I don't care how I've got it, and I don't care if I know exactly that there's a printer there and he just prints them out. It's still special. So I've got stuff. I have. I used to get, when I was shooting a lot for the Green Soccer Journal early on in my career, we do obviously a lot of footballers. So I've got a lot of football shirts signed that I thought, this goes back to how I feel about my work, but I was like, I probably won't want to look at that picture in 10 years' time. So I'll get the signed shirt, and that'll be great. Because if I ever have kids and they have kids, they're going to be interested in, whoa, that shirt's incredible. Plus, I'm a football shirt fan. And then they've got that. Oh, you can look at this shit old photograph. And you're like, didn't you get a shirt? So, yeah, I still do occasionally ask. It's more like, I guess you get a photograph with them now, don't you? So I get with Becks, it was like I wasn't going to miss that opportunity. I just wasn't. But yeah, I guess I do. Yeah.
It's the new form of autograph, but yeah, it would be class.
I like an autograph though. Something signed is beautiful. I've got a lot of signed stuff in this place because I still do like that. I still think it feel. I don't know if that's the Antique Roadshow fanning me, but I feel like it feels proper, like a selfie or whatever. It's quick, it's easy, it's soulless. You don't have to speak. Obviously by working with Serbian, you see how people will come up and it's like, bang, see ya. It's like they haven't even said hi.
Yeah.
I know that it doesn't really matter, but at least when an autograph, there was a bit of conversation had to go on beforehand. Or yeah. I remember you'd pluck up the courage to take a beer mat over to someone and be like, mate, do you mind? And I know it's not that much difference from taking your phone there, but you felt like you got something back rather than selfies can feel very, it's forced, isn't it? It's like they've kind of got to do it.
You've got to have the engagement to be able to have that connection. So I get that. So Daisy Moo.
That's my girlfriend. So ignore her.
Thank you, Daisy Moo, for pushing him to do this, saying that he seems a nice guy. He let you know in a message. So thank you. Bless you.
And my brother, he told me he's a decent lad. No.
Shout out Mark always, man. Shout out Mark. I've got a lot of time for that brother. A lot of time for your brother. That brother, your brother.
Nice lad.
So Daisy's asked, who is your favourite person you've photographed? But I'd also like to lean onto that. And with the football shirt thing, do you think there could be a project that you could do with the favourite people that you've photographed in retro shirts of their team?
Yeah, I mean, potentially, yeah. Potentially. That'd be... I mean, I think, to be fair, the Soccer Bible do that already quite well. They do a lot of vintage football shirt.
But not with... Do they do it with a big fan?
West Ham did it. Some football clubs have done it. I think West Ham did it about 2 or 3 years ago. They launched their shirt with old players. But I guess that's in a new shirt. So, yeah, maybe so.
Sorry, not old players, like musicians. So, for example, Serge Leicester or like Ian Brown with United, retro shirts or something.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah.
You can have that for free. Yeah. I'll come on to shoot as a runner, just for idea. But no, who's your favourite person you photographed then?
Ever? Don't know. It's hard. I mean, I know it is. It's not fair to say, but the first time, for instance, you photograph Ian Brown, that's it. Your life's you've made your life. And then that it's come and it's gone, and you've got you're on to the next one. So it's sort of obviously photographing Serge is the most favourable of anything I do because it's joyous every time. But like I said, the first time obviously I idolise Becks, and then you get a call, you're gonna shoot him, and you're like, nah, I'm on holiday, which I was supposed to be. And then you do it, then suddenly that's the favourite person. But it's hard, I think you'd have to stick with Serge, to be honest.
I've got the right answer, and it's going to be me when I'm biggest comedian on planet, and you're shooting me for GQ.
There you go.
Nah, incredible. Thank you so much for your time.
Right.
And honestly, for opening up and getting on a proper level, man. I properly respect
that. All right. Hopefully it was all right.
It was spot on, man. It was spot on. And what we'll do is I'll send you it over, and then we'll get it shared around all the socials as well. Right. But I look forward to seeing what you've got coming up. Would you? I've got literally 20 seconds left. Do you want to take that 20 seconds to tell people where they can find a bit more out about you?
Absolutely not. You can do that.
Good luck with house build as well, brother. Take care, man.
No worries. Thanks.
Peace.
Nice one.
Bye.
All right, ta-ra. Bye. I don't know how.
I'll hang up for him. So that was Neil Bedford, an amazing photographer. You can follow him on Neil_Bedford on Instagram and just have a look at the people that he's shot, from Kobe, RIP, that he mentioned, Pharrell, David Beckham, Alex Turner, Serge, of course. The guy is cool, and he understates himself, man. He's a big game player in the bee's knees, and I'm grateful for his time. So this has been Loose Lips. I'm Ben Random. You can see all the back catalogue on Pop Cult Chic on YouTube, or over pop.cult.chic on Instagram. Until then, peace and light to you and yours. Bye.